Midjourney released a new reference feature last week. You can point to any image and say, I want this in my generation. And this video is going to cover every tip I can think of. I'll try to be succinct, but there is a lot to go over, so you can see the timestamps below if you want to jump around. My name is Nolan Michaels. I've made nearly 91,000 Midjourney images. Oh, that's a lot. Let me show you everything I've learned so far. The first thing you might want to know about is style transfers and the most effective prompting strategies. So once you set your reference, you should be prompting for two things. You should prompt for a style as well as a description of your subject. The reference you're aiming for, point to it in the prompt. So here we have our style, a children's crayon drawing, and then a description of me, a bald man with a beard. Pretty simple, and you'll get results like these. Number one's not bad. I kind of like it. I think it looks like me. But let's say you didn't want that kind of crayon drawing. You actually wanted something that looks like this. Well, the next big trick is to use that exact picture in your prompt as a style reference. Then we can fill the rest of the prompt with what we had before. A children's crayon drawing of a bald man with a beard. A description of our style as well as our subject. And then we'll get something like these. Isn't that a giant difference? It's still a crayon drawing, but this time it's much more specific to what we wanted. We used an additional reference, a style reference. Style references will get the job done, but you should also consider using mood boards. And at this point, it becomes increasingly important to describe the design of the board. Actually though, mentioning any part of your mood board will make a big difference. Take a look at this example. The prompt alone is a bald man with a beard using my hazy armor mood board. And these pictures are, you know, they're okay, I guess, but they definitely didn't attract the attributes of my mood board that I was hoping for. All I had to do was add the word armor to my prompt to get something like this. You see how big of a difference just describing your mood board can make? But then take a look at this example. Here's a Midjourney character that I've used before. I also have this amigurumi mood board. This is like a knitted puppet style of art. If I use that character plus that mood board, it doesn't really do anything, right? If I say an amigurumi woman plus that mood board, it also doesn't really do anything. I mean, it kinda does. Number one here, it sorta has the right idea. So this is where you would consider lowering the omni weight. I found that anywhere between like 50 and 80 is gonna be the sweet spot when things aren't working. Like, look at these, that's unreal. That is an amigurumi woman of that character. All thanks to lowering the omni weight. Overall, I think you can use this as a guideline. If you have a mood board in your prompt and you choose an omni weight above 100, you'll be targeting the aesthetic of the board combined with everything in your original reference. If you lower the omni weight below 100, you'll be targeting the style of the board. I think this is easiest to see when you use your global profile. We're referencing our character here with my global profile, and these are the results you're gonna get. This is essentially my style. If we raise the omni weight all the way to 800, these are the results we get. You'll notice that her sweater comes into play much more. When you raise the omni weight, you get everything in your reference, but you also get the general aesthetic of your board or profile. So you'll notice similar shades in the background. Meanwhile, if you lower the omni weight, we'll get results like these. Much more style heavy in terms of my profile, where some of these will even turn out painterly. Again, this is specific to my style, but it's coming through because we lowered the omni weight. Now I have to ask you for a favor. Please leave a like on this video so that we could share it with more people. I really need your help with that. Now on to a bigger prompting tip, and that is to mention as much detail as you can about the entire scene. Background, accessories, everything. Quick shout out to Rogelio from my community for laying this out with examples. So you could refer to your subject as the character, then you can try things like a portrait in the style of teen magazine photography. Nolan is a bald man with a beard. Nolan is wearing a mint colored suit with layered beaded necklaces. Nolan stands in front of Spanish architecture with soft afternoon lighting casting subtle shadows. Pretty cool, right? I think these turned out amazing. I mean, all things considered, you know, your success rate isn't going to be that high, but I thought this generation worked out really well. Now let's get to some troubleshooting. If things aren't working for you, I think there are three things that you could try. And the first is adding some chaos. Chaos will get you more variety in your grid that might uncover the diamond in the rough. All you need is a chaos value between like 4 and 15, maybe 15 is even a little too high. Again, we just want more variety. You'll see that some of these didn't work, like that's not me at all, but this one's pretty good. And this was made with just Chaos 5. Like that's unreal. Chaos 9 might get you something like this. And then take a look at Chaos 15. This isn't great, not good, pretty bad, but whoa, like pretty accurate. I'd give that one like an A-. Again, chaos is kind of hard to use, but so is this whole omni reference feature. It really is a shot in the dark. It's a slot machine. Chaos just gives you a little more variety in hopes of finding what you're looking for. The second thing you should try is variations, both subtle and strong. If you see a generation that is close to your target, variations might help you out. This isn't a foolproof strategy, but you have a better chance of nudging Midjourney in the right direction. Like, this guy didn't look anything like me, but we'll see if variation can get us a little closer. So we'll go from this to something like this, and is that better? Like, I think so. And these are the subtle variations, or you have the strong ones up here. Obviously, this is just like an old version of me, but that's not bad. Again, I want to reiterate that this isn't a silver bullet, but variations do help. And then if all of that isn't working, the third thing you can try is remixing your picture. Again, both subtle and strong. Let's take this hazy armor picture right here. Really, it's not that bad at all. But we can click down here at Remix, Subtle, or Strong. And if you don't see this here, make sure you click on More Options and then choose it from this list here. Now, once you click Remix, a prompt box will appear, and honestly, all you have to do is hit Enter. You just have to resubmit the prompt. It's going to remix this picture with the Omni reference that's already provided. I'm going to do the same thing for Strong. And then look at what we have here. Like, these are insane. That's so good, I think. Maybe not when you look closely, but you know, from a distance, these all look really good. And then how about our Remix Strong? You'll notice how much it changes the picture, but I don't think that's really the point. I mean, if it didn't look like you, you're not really saving anything. We just want to give Midjourney more chances at finding the right tone. And I think this one here did an amazing job. Like, oh, that's so cool. I will say that if you go the subtle remix route, you might want to try further variations, probably subtle as well. They're not all gonna be gold, but I think this one's pretty decent. Like, yeah, that's a good picture. Okay, I lied. There is actually one more thing you can try, and that is lowering the stylize value. Not too much though, maybe somewhere between like 60 and 80. Here's my prompt: an old-timey bald man with a beard using my old-timey black and white mood board. And like, yeah, these are alright, maybe that's the best one. But if we lower the stylize value, we could get something like this. Yeah, this one is a little weird, but I like the other three. And that all comes from just lowering the stylized value. This time I went to 80. I'd say 60 didn't work out as well, but this picture is not bad. Just remember the stylized value is sort of a last resort, and lowering it is what you're going to want to do. And to be honest with you, I'd love to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I absolutely need you to help me do that. Please consider subscribing. It would mean the world to me. Thank you. Okay, we've gone through some prompting stuff so far, but what about transferring a cartoon to real life? We could start by creating some concept art. How about these warriors right here? So we'll take this guy and we'll use him as an Omni reference. And then I know it's not the most poetic prompt, but asking for a cinematic screenshot seems to work fairly well. A futuristic warrior, our subject, is walking down a lonely street at night. And like, yeah, I think that's him. You've seen me use this one before, a Vogue photo shoot, and again, I think this worked well. At least in terms of taking that concept art and bringing it into our reality. But you'll notice that it doesn't always work. I took this photo and I tried the same thing, and I got results like this. You know, that basically didn't work at all. That's when I played around with some other parameters like lowering the omni weight and the new experimental parameter. For this prompt, I used a value of 15. And sure, 3 and 4 didn't work, but 1 and 2, I think that's accurate. Again, just in terms of bringing the concept to real life. Yeah, like, that's pretty good. And then let's take this robot right here, and I have another prompt that you could try. And that is using WF 2009 as a reference in your prompt. It refers to like a really detailed toy figurine. Like, yeah, that's a toy design of our 2D image. Alright, now how about a quick upscale tip? Make sure you always choose the subtle upscaler. Using creative will morph the face into something new. Let's take this image right here. We're gonna subtle upscale as well as creative. Here's the subtle, and there's the creative. Like, pretty big difference. Subtle, me. Creative, not me. When it comes to Omni reference, for now at least, stick to the subtle upscaler. Now let's move on to referencing objects, not just characters. To start, the most important thing is to describe your whole scene in your prompt as well as referencing your object. Again, shout out to Rogelio and my community for this example scene. We take this sword, and then using these prompts we can see our character holding the sword. With the help of conversational mode, I generated this picture of a sword. I just wanted something cool looking. We have a futuristic sword with glowing edges, intricate hilt design set against a dark background, hyper-realistic. I really just wanted to isolate the object. And notice the serrated edges. I think this is pretty cool because we will see this in some of our future generations. Like, take a look at this. Isn't that unreal? And your prompt would be something like, a dramatic character portrait in the style of epic fantasy cover art. Geralt of Rivia stands firm on a smoldering battlefield at dusk, gripping a glowing, intricately forged sword. The blade emits a radiant golden light. We described our scene and then we added in a reference to our object. Now, when it comes to objects, I think raising the omni weight is something worth trying out, while lowering it might warp your object a little more than you'd like. Let me show you some examples. So in these generations, I raised the omni weight all the way to 500, and like, that's pretty good. I like that one a lot, and that's great as well. But then look what happens when we lower the value. This is a value of 50, and sure, it's the same sword, but do you see how it became elongated? The scale of this is just quite off, and I think that's something you'd probably want to avoid. You know what might help? Use the describe function to get a feel for how you could prompt the object. You're gonna have to adjust the prompt slightly, but it could still work. Like, I generated this cool picture of a sword, and I wanted to see Sailor Moon holding that sword, but as you can see, it didn't really work. So what I did was click and hold the sword, and then you'll see drop the image to describe. Alternatively, you can right click on any image and you'll see describe right there. I then adjusted the prompt to something like anime screenshot of Sailor Moon preparing for battle holding a magical glowing sword with holographic colors. Just a couple of those words seem to narrow Midjourney's interpretation of my reference. And don't forget about raising the omni weight. It's gonna help out when your object is a little hard to describe. Like, that's a pretty great picture. And what about product photography? I know a lot of you are interested in this. So I took this picture of a Vera Wang perfume bottle, and you know what? It seems like describing it was not as important. And all I prompted for was product photo of a perfume bottle on a desk. And I think they turned out good. Not perfect, but good. And then I found that changing the omni weight in either direction kind of ruined the generation. When I dropped it down to 50, I ended up with one of these square bottles. Like, that's not good. And I thought raising the weight was gonna work perfectly, and look, it didn't work out at all. Those are awful. I guess what it shows you is that when it comes to AI, there are no foolproof strategies, just different things that you can try. Remember, it's a slot machine, best of luck to you. Okay, how about a Photoshop tip? Do you remember in my last video how my plant kept showing up even though I used a transparent image? Well, some of you in the comments let me know that even though it looks transparent to us, that's not how computers work. So if you want to make sure you've isolated your subject completely, make sure you export your file as a JPEG. That will solve this problem. And now let's go over multiple references. Right now, you can only include one reference picture. Right now, that might change in the future, but again, for now, you can add a picture that includes more than one subject. Now, my first attempts at doing this were not working. I kept getting an error. It may have been a file size issue, so consider saving your picture at a reduced scale. That's what I did, and it seemed to work. I have this blue sniper and the golden mask. You put them together, save it as a JPEG, lowered the file size, and then I tried it out. And the one thing you'll need to do is make sure you mention both of your references in your prompt. Callbacks will help here if you're referring to the objects. So we have a cinematic still of an assassin. The assassin is holding a blue sniper rifle. The assassin is wearing a gold mask. Is it the exact sniper rifle? Is it the exact mask? No, but I think it's close. That's probably not what you're looking for if you're trying to use this professionally, but I think this is a pretty big step in that direction. And then another tip is that if you have two human subjects, try to give them an action to partake in. So here's a JPEG of me and a character. Instead of just prompting for a cute painting, like that's not going to work, you're going to want to add a bit of an action, like a cute painting of a man and a woman drinking coffee together. Do you see how well that worked? Maybe not in number 1 or 3, 4's not bad, but 2 is so good. What a beautiful picture. And then look at this one. Like, isn't that amazing? I was really shocked to see this because, we gave them 2 pictures facing straight on, 2 portraits, and it turned them sideways, made a nice composition out of it. Like, I found this to be really impressive. Let's move on to an editing tip. If you want to edit one of your omni-reference pictures, like zooming out or fixing a hand or something, there are some things you're going to need to know. First, you actually can't use certain features like zooming out. Outpainting omni-reference jobs jobs is not currently supported. Hey, that might change in the future. So instead, if you go into the editor, you'll be brought into the advanced editor. This is where you can select your picture and drag it around and zoom out that way. So we'll go from something like this, and then we'll be given some options like these, and I think that's pretty good. And then you can upscale it to your gallery, or you can download the image. When you click download, it's going to say save original generation or save current edit. I'll be completely honest, I don't know what the difference is between those. I've downloaded both and they're the same picture. So like, I don't know. Maybe you can let me know what I'm missing. Another thing you're going to need to know is that your job will fail if you have any omni-reference parameters in your prompt. So if you try to zoom out on a picture like this, make sure you go up to your prompt and erase the omni weight. Again, I don't know how long you'll need to do that in the future, but for now, that's how it works. Now, you've seen me use parameters throughout this video, but here's a quick coverage of what I think you should know. Basically, right now, we want to avoid using parameters as much as possible because we don't want other systems competing for the attention of the bot. As in, if we include too many adjustments, the focus will be taken away from our reference. So for the stylized value, reducing it a bit is fine, but raising it will hurt the accuracy of your subject. We covered chaos. It might actually be really helpful. It will increase the variety of your generations, and maybe one of the outcomes will be what you were looking for. Style raw. This could be super helpful, but it's not exactly clear what is happening. I think it's safe to say you might just like the generations more. Like, here's the cute painting of a man and a woman in style raw, and some of these are awesome. Like, look at that. Like, that is so cool. Again, all thanks to style raw. It's not obvious what it did. Maybe it just made the prompt more accurate, as in a cute painting, so these are more painterly. That's probably my best guess. And then we have EXP, experimental. The newest parameter is a lot of fun, and I wish I knew how to make it work consistently with omni references. I've seen it make some great images when paired with style raw, but I've also seen it act too strong and reduce the intended accuracy. Like, these are amazing, right? That's so cute. All that being said, my extra special pro tip is to use as many parameters as you want and then use a free face swap tool like Pixie to finish the job. I will say that the big caveat to this is that it will only work with regular faces, not objects. You can find it at pixie.ai/face swap. Here we have a Vogue photo shoot of a thin bald man with a beard in armor. I think these are pretty cool. I'm using Chaos 5, Experimental 10, Omni weight of 55, Stylized 50 with my sci-fi black and white mood board. I think that's a cool picture. I'm just not entirely sure, that's me. But we can download this. We can take it over to Pixie. This is where we're going to place the target image. And here is where we're going to place the source. And then all we have to do is hit swap. And like, look at that result. Isn't that unreal? It's way more like me. I know this might not be what you wanted, but it is free. You get like 30 credits a day. It takes 3 per generation. You do have to sign in through Discord to access this, but I feel like that's a fairly reasonable request. And then you can get cool pictures with your face in it based on any image you create. That's awesome. I have another prompting tip for you, and that is how camera angles actually work great with omni-reference. You could try a fisheye lens. I thought these were hilarious. That's pretty funny. I like that one too. You could try a low angle shot, and these turned out all right. And aerial shots seem to be fairly interesting. Some of them look like I'm flying, some are just shot from above. Oh, like these low angles worked great. Again, play around with your prompts and have fun with camera angles. Now I have my ultimate pro tip for you. We need to use Discord for it, but we can actually set shortcuts for different characters. This is going to save you some time. You can set a shortcut for a specific character by first starting a chat with the Midjourney bot. Then you want to upload your reference, hit enter so that it sends in the chat. Then you want to hit / to activate the bot, and then we want the prefer option set command. From here we want to click on +1 more, and then value will pop up. Click on that. Now we want to type the omni reference parameter --oref. Then we need to simply click and drag our picture into this prompt box. Don't worry about this being a really long link. You're going to click up here back at option, and this is where we get to type the name of our shortcut. For me, I'm going to go with Noli GT, Noli Good Times. When you hit enter, it will save it as a shortcut. Then if we go over to Midjourney and we prompt for something like the king of all pirates, all we need to do is type -- and then the name of our shortcut. --Noli GT, and when I hit enter, it should run that prompt with my reference. And look at that, it's working. Obviously, it's not the best prompt in the world, but still. Look how much time that's gonna save you. Okay, I think this one's turning out pretty good. Actually, that one's not bad either. You can also set a shortcut to test different omni weights. Like I have O-test expanding into this. So if I ran this prompt again, but this time I included my other shortcut, --O-test, this should run that prompt on different omni weights. And look at that, it's working. How cool is that? But I will warn you, I have found that shortcuts sometimes don't run. Like you might encounter an error. This only happens sometimes, so I'm not completely sure what the trigger is, but I thought I'd let you know. Unreal. All right, there's all the tricks I know so far. Please let me know if I missed anything. Please subscribe to the channel if you want to help me out, and please check out this video if you want to learn a cool Midjourney trick. I hope you're doing well, take care, and I'll see you next time. Peace.